Yes, boxing fans, welcome to Talkin Fight, and the Olympic Games have opened. The ceremonies were certainly a made-for-TV event, and they went off without a hitch. But let me just go through a quick little report given to us by our friends at Al Jazeera. The virus-delayed Tokyo Summer Olympics have finally opened on Friday with cascading fireworks and made-for-TV choreography that unfolded in a near-empty stadium. A colorful but strangely subdued ceremony that set a striking tone to match unique pandemic games. It's interesting to note that at the Olympic Games, the Olympic-related infections of COVID since July 1st are now at 106, while the Japanese capital logged 1,359 new infections yesterday. Anyway, International Olympic Committee Chairman President Thomas Bach said in his welcome speech before the Emperor opened the games officially. He said, "Today's a moment of hope. Yes, it's very different from what all of us had imagined, but let us cherish this moment because finally we're here together." Naming solidarity the light at the end of the dark tunnel of this pandemic. Speaking of imagine, it's interesting to note that the organizers sent a traditional message of peace through a variety of pop stars singing John Lennon's hit Imagine during the opening ceremonies. Seiko Hashimoto, the president of the organizing committee, said, "With the world in a tough situation because of the coronavirus pandemic, I'd like to pay my respect and express my gratitude to medical workers and all those who are working hard every day to overcome the difficulties." The parade itself saw about 5,700 athletes, far lower than the usual numbers, file into the stadium. And the Olympic cauldron was lit by Japanese tennis star Naomi Osaka. And that started the Olympic Tokyo 2020 competition. So for us, fans of boxing, it's interesting to note also that the IOC, in charge of rebuilding boxing's credibility after the judging fiasco in the 2016 games, promised a clean competition at Tokyo, warning the referees and judges that even one injustice would make the sport's future dark. IOC Sports Director Kit McConnell, Chair of the Boxing Task Force Watanabe Morinari, and Head of the BTF Lenny Abbey addressed the media on the eve of the boxing competition, which will feature 289 boxers from 81 countries. To quote Morinari, he said, "When I go to the referee and judges meeting, I will say to the referees and judges that for the future of boxing, if they do one injustice, it is dark. If they do the right way, then the future of boxing I will support." Short and sweet, to the point. They better get it right this time. As you know, the BTF took charge of the sport in 2019 after the IOC suspended the International Boxing Association for financial administrative mismanagement, besides their judging system, which had many complaining of unfair treatment. It's interesting to note that they went from 36 women competing in Rio to 102 female boxers competing in Tokyo. So, and increasing actually the number of women's weight categories from 3 in Rio to 5 in Tokyo, which is certainly making the sport much more equal on that level over in Tokyo for these games, and for something that we'll keep our eye on completely, because we've been incredibly excited to report on the number of female fighters that have risen over the past year to prominence, among them the Olympic competitors. So it is my pleasure to announce what will be going on at the Olympics, day one, and that would be Saturday, July 24th, technically. The women's 57 kilo preliminaries, the women's 69 kilogram preliminaries, the men's 57 kilogram preliminaries, the men's 69 kilogram preliminaries, the men's 91 kilogram preliminaries, and the men's 91 plus kilogram preliminaries. So the key bouts to keep in mind, as reported to us by our friends over at Boxing News. In the men's featherweight division, Kurt Walker out of Ireland versus Jose Quiz out of Spain. The men's featherweight division also features Duke Reagan out of the USA fighting Samuel Kisto-Hurry out of France. And in the women's featherweight, Karis Ardenstall out of Great Britain will be fighting Kiyomotsugitsi Siri Kanosi out of Botswana. Sorry for the mispronunciation of her name. And in the men's featherweight category, Peter McGrail out of Great Britain will be fighting Chachi Bhuti out of Thailand. In the men's welterweight, We'll see Siwanretz Okazawa out of Japan compete against Vikas Krishnan out of India. Again, these are the keep-outs that Boxing News is telling us to keep our eye on, and we certainly will. In the men's welterweight division, however, we've had Delonte Johnson out of the USA fighting Brian Aragui out of Argentina. And concluding the day, we'll see in the men's super heavyweight division, Danis Lapitov versus Muhammad Abdulyabiev, Uzbekistan. Wow. Sorry about that. Tough one to finish me off on. Anyway, those are the headlines that we see in today's episode. And we're certainly looking forward to the fights getting underway and a very successful Olympics, obviously, after reporting to you for several months now. And we also actually hope to have Christian back in the studio and online as early as tomorrow, but we'll see. He's still caught up out of town on business, unfortunately for us, but fortunately for him that, the doors are opening, and we are hopeful that this pandemic is coming to a close. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow.